Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to Siblings A and J Gardening. I'm Angela, and I garden with my brother Jeffrey. As you all can see, the garden is winding down, as I have stated. I actually picked 2 ears of corn yesterday. I haven't shucked it yet. One of them was a baby corn, but it was ready to be picked. And I gave one to my dad the other day. He hasn't shucked his either. But I did pick that watermelon that was actually right there where you see that brown spot. I picked that yesterday. I thought it was a watermelon, but I actually cut it, and it is a cantaloupe. I don't think I'd ever seen a cantaloupe that big before, but Daddy said he did when he lived in the country. Now I'm looking at this one. I don't know if that one's ready to be picked yet, but I'm assuming that they're both cantaloupe, just different types of cantaloupe. But here's the corn, the second aisle of corn that we planted, and I don't see any. Oh yes, I do. I see a few ears here. It's Mexican corn, and that's why the silk looks like a hot pink. But the ears that I have picked, they didn't really develop very well, but I did eat them and they had a good taste. It's a sweet corn. I haven't been in the garden in probably a week now. My brother's out of town, and before he left, he wasn't able to run the tiller. So it's looking really, really bad in spots. It just kept raining on us, and he wasn't able to run it before he left. But what we're gonna do, I'm gonna pick some peppers today and see if there's some tomatoes that need to be picked, and probably start pulling up the squash plants and the zucchini plants so he can get the ground ready, because we need to get the greens in the ground for the fall garden. Looks like the garden needs a good watering too. We're supposed to get rain in the next few days, so I don't know what I'm gonna do with the water situation just yet. I have been looking at the tomatoes, and it looks like when I dusted them that I did get the spider mites, but I can only do that once a week. My brother, he will spray it with that chemical or that natural something that he uses. I can't remember what it is, but you have to wear that on your back, and I'm not able to do that right now. So I've been having trouble with my back. But I'm gonna go through here and see what I can do. Probably pick some tomatoes. I see we have another eggplant there. And like I said, the garden is winding down. It's weedy. It looks terrible. But once he gets back, he'll be able to run the tiller through the aisles of the tomatoes and the peppers. And I probably need to check the green beans as well and see about those. I picked a bushel the last time I picked green beans. And these Carolina Reapers need to be picked. You pick them when they're red. But I'm just gonna get to work on picking the peppers and checking the tomatoes. And as I had stated on another video, we just let the okra go. We only had several plants, and as you can see, they just never really took off. You could maybe cut a couple of okra pods at one time, and it is just not worth it. So this section here where you see the greenery, he's just gonna till it up. Go over here to the green beans. And they're pretty well being taken up by the weeds as well. But I do see green beans that need to be picked. So I'll just have to wade through the weeds, and this will probably be the last time we pick green beans before we just go ahead and pull those up and get the ground tilled up for the greens. Doesn't look like I'm gonna get to pick any more apples. They're all falling off. I just ran out of time. Last year I was able to pick them 3 separate times. 3 or 4 times, I think. There's a few that I may try to get, but definitely won't be enough to make more applesauce. I decided to set up the hose and water the tomatoes and the peppers. You usually water every 7 days, and we hadn't had any rain in probably 10 days. So I was trying to hold out because rain is coming, but once I was out here, I saw how dry some of the tomato plants were getting. So I started this a little later than I wanted to. I usually try to start, my brother tells me start between 4, like 3:30 and 4. Something about the sun rays. He knows all about that stuff. But it's a little after 5 now, and I think I'll let it go for a couple of hours before I turn it off. I'm gonna have to move the hose back to where I first had it. I moved it up just a little bit, but now it's not getting the things on this far end. I did try to use the tripod, and that thing was barely sputtering out anything. I don't know about you all, but we have not had any success with the tripods, and my brother has bought several of them, and he's invested a lot of money in them, and they're just basically useless. Now this is getting all the tomato plants. I had to move it 1 plant over. And it's getting the pepper plants as well. And I'm gonna let that water a couple of hours. Few tomatoes, peppers, and green peppers. I could have picked more, but I wanted to start watering the garden. I just turned the water off. I've watered for probably 2 hours. The tomatoes and the peppers. I'll check on everything tomorrow. I didn't get to the green beans today. I'll try to get to those tomorrow. Picked a few green peppers as well. They need to be watered as well, so maybe I'll move the hose over this way for tomorrow. I'm picking the last of the green beans, and then I'm gonna pull these up. And then Jeffrey's gonna till the ground up and get it ready for our greens. I'm just gonna keep picking here. It's nice and breezy. Feels pretty good outside. You get a nice gust of wind, but as you can see, it's overgrown with weeds. But we're gonna be tilling this up within the next few days anyway. I decided to just start pulling the plant up, the green bean up by the root, since we're going to be pulling them up anyway. I've put up green beans at least, I think I've put them up 3 or 4 times now. I know I had stated at the beginning that I was going to can them, but as you all know, when I read up about canning them, you have to pressure cook them in the canner. And I have a glass top stove, and it's recommended that you don't use a glass top stove because you can crack the glass top. So you need a gas stove is the safest way to do it. So I'm just putting them up like I normally do. I just clean them and snap them and put them in freezer bags and put them in the freezer. I have one more melon that I need to pull or need to pick. I think I'm going to leave it until tomorrow. But I cut up that other one. We went from thinking it was a cantaloupe and then thinking it was a watermelon, and it's actually a cantaloupe. I don't think I've ever seen a cantaloupe that big before. It was so sweet too. Daddy said he seen them that big when he grew up in the country. His grandmother would plant them, but I had never seen any that big, but it was really, really good. I think this other one is some type of cantaloupe as well, but when I pick that one, I'll be sure and let you all know. Let's see here. Almost missed these green beans. And some of these are kind of soft, but I went ahead and picked them because I'll just save the bean for next year. I probably have 3/4 of a bushel here. I'm gonna stop now. I'll do the rest tomorrow, but got a pretty nice 3/4 of a bushel, and I have several more plants to pull up and go through, but I think I will save that until tomorrow. It's getting late. I'm gonna let the water run probably another 30 minutes before I turn that off. But I'm watering, like I said, the peppers and the tomatoes. I watered the tomatoes a couple of hours yesterday, and I'm so glad I did. I was trying to wait till my brother got back in town, but I went ahead and watered them, and I'm glad I did because just that 2 hours yesterday really made them plump up a little bit. But I'm watering them again today. Probably another 2 hours before 30 minutes, it'll be 2 hours. And then today I set the hose up over here to water these peppers because they were looking kind of puny too, the green peppers. Once again, this is Angela with Siblings A&J Gardening. Thank you so much for coming along with me today. I will definitely post videos of us getting ready to plant the fall garden. Be blessed. Turning the water off. I'm turning it off early enough where the water will evaporate off of the plants.